Did you unmute them?
I didn't mute them.
Oh, she said, ask her to unmute me.
I did not mute her.
But see,
Let's see.
she just
Let
texted.
us see. Yeah, I can only ask her to unmute. I'm not able to do that. I didn't do that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
Now we
Mataji,
are
I was
okay.
trying
Now we
to
have
tell that ki unmute me, but it is telling that host muted you.
I don't know. Yeah. I've asked Vindhyavali Mataji also to unmute herself.
now we have voice.
Okay, that's
Yes.
good. Okay, very nice. Very nice. ये कौन आ गया यहाँ पे? कहाँ किसका आ गया? ये घुस गया यहाँ पे? कहाँ से? फेसबुक में जाना ही एक खतरनाक काम है. Okay, that's good. We are live, broadcasting live, and I don't know what that was that shot at me. Okay, so let's get started then. And what are we going to do today? Who's going to tell me that?
I started.
Who's going to tell me?
6:25.
6:25. Do others agree? Shall we do
Oh,
6:25?
maybe.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I think it's.
What do you say? Do you agree,
Yes.
Sutapa?
Yes, Mataji.
6:25?
Mm-hmm.
What did we do last time?
No, 25 or 36.
Oh, sorry. No.
36. Is telling that 36. 6.36.
No. Last time we did Chanchalam hi mana Krishna.
Krishna.
That is?
Yes.
So today is 35, not 25, 35.
35.
35.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Chanchala.
good.
Yeah, my
All right, so now that
pencil
we have
was
settled.
there, but I forgot. Yeah.
No, I've
Okay.
written it here. Yeah.
That's a good idea. So I was going to say that now that we are settled on the verse we're going to do, so let's start the prayers now.
Yeah.
Om Ajnanatimandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Śrī Guru Śrī Yuta Padkamalam Śrī Guru Vaishnavamscha Śrī Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagara Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Śrī Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much for joining us. Varshana Mataji, Vindhyavali, Sutapa, Sukumal Radhe, Subodhini, Madhav Sangini, and everybody on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you so much. So we're going to do. Okay, so we have Varshana Mataji joining and from two places. Anyway, she will figure it out. All right, so let's get going here. So what did we read last time. We have to start from there. Anybody remember? Anybody? Anybody? You said 6.34. What is 6.34 all about? Okay, what is happening? Are you not able to unmute yourself? Why does this do? This is so crazy. Ah, participants. Participants. Why? Something is wrong. Can you all unmute yourself? I'm asking all of you to unmute.
Yeah, now
Now
if
we can unmute.
Now,
Because you
I was
allowed
not even
us.
touching.
You
I was
allowed
not even
us.
touching the laptop.
No.
I was praying.
so that means
This is
Mataji,
crazy.
we cannot say anything if we are not telling anything. If we
Yeah.
wave our
We are
hand, that
doing
means
like
you
this.
have to unmute us every
Yeah,
they
time.
said
and
that you are not unmuting us. That's why.
yeah, but I never muted you in the first place.
By mistake, you might have.
No, my hands are underneath the table.
That's
Or
good.
they were like this.
That's
I was
good.
praying, right?
Yes.
You were
Mataji,
asking
before
us,
Remember
we
last time?
we
You
are
remember,
all
yeah,
keeping
you remember
quiet.
last time when we were doing this? It would, I would say, I don't know why it is raising my own hand.
yes, last week it was
Remember I was
happening.
saying
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something crazy. Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Mataji, I have a very small question. Means someone sent me a mantra, but I'm not. I wanted to make sure this is right. I don't know whether you have heard that, so I'm telling it. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranata Klesho Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. It's the right one,
why
Mataji?
did they give you this mantra?
125 on this. 125.
Because that is Klesho Nashaya. So Krishna will every day what we are facing. So we are requesting Krishna to remove all the obstacle and all the miseries from our life. But I wanted to make sure first with you.
Yes. And Hare Krishna Mahamantra also does the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay, Mataji.
Yeah. And it's the mantra for the yuga. There's a prescription for every yuga, what you
Yeah,
do in a yuga,
Mahamantra.
right? So the thing about the Mahamantra is that, it's a very benevolent mantra. Because when it is mantras, then you can go wrong in pronunciation and things like that, right? So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is very benevolent, right?
Yes, Mataji.
So you can try everything, but or anything, but don't give up the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? You can do that one in addition, and send me the whole text of that, right? What you have been giving, and then we'll talk further on that. Okay, that makes sense. And are you all also on mute again?
No, Mataji.
No.
Okay. So
Okay.
Madha Sangini for some reason is on mute. I don't know why. So is Vindhyavali. Okay. So yeah. Just give me 1 second, huh? I wanted to bring up something. So
You were asking us about last week's verse.
yeah. Yeah. So tell me while I'm looking up.
Oh, yeah. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna means the mind is very obstinate and it's very restless, and it's even more difficult to control the mind than the wind.
Yeah. So what were some of the characteristics that you did rattle them off? So let's go one by one. What did he say in that
I
verse?
said turbulent, restless,
Turbulent. Okay.
and then
restless.
strong
Obstinate.
and obstinate.
Strong.
4.
And obstinate, right?
Mm.
Obstinate. All right. So SORT. S-O-R-T. S stands for stubborn.
Madhav Shangini
Obstinate.
Mataji cannot unmute.
Madhav Sangini, leave the call and join again. See, my hands are not there.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
why these two had the problem. I never had it.
Did you chant your rounds?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. So S stood for stubborn, and then T for
O for
O
obstinate,
Turbulent. Oh,
turbulent.
R for
Okay.
restless, and T for
T for
turbulence.
turbulent.
So S-O-R-T.
R-T.
Sort. Right?
Yeah.
So what is mine? Mine is sort.
Mm.
Stubborn, obstinate, restless, and turbulent. You can remember that, right?
Mm.
So, okay. And then I wanted to bring up something here. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and somebody's chatting, putting something in the chat. Madhav Sangini saying, I can't unmute. Okay, can't help you. I can't help her. Because I'm asking her to unmute from here, and she cannot. Yeah, I cannot do anything. I can only ask people to unmute. I cannot unmute people. Okay, so yeah, so I said I was going to share screen here with you. So let me just do that. And I'm bringing up the Nam Ashtakam, right? Nam Ashtakam are 8 verses glorifying the holy name, right? And of that, I'm going to only fixed on number 3. We're going to focus on number 6, sorry, here. Vachyam vachakam iti udeti bhavato nama swarupadvayam Purvasma param eva hanta karunam tatrapi janimahi yastasmin vihita parada nivaha prani samantad bhaved asya nedam upasya sopihi sada anandam budhav majjati. Right? So let us see what that means over here. So number 6, and is everybody muted again?
No, Mataji.
No, okay. Because I see all of you muted. Okay, now you're not. Okay, that's good. So Surabhi has joined, and Surabhi Govinda is that, and she is muted. I can only ask them to unmute, and Sanjay has also joined us here. Okay, yeah. So Sutapa, can you speak, and can we hear you?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, go ahead. Why didn't you read number 6? I'm going to make it slightly bigger here, the font, and then we'll take it from here. Okay? So, okay, number 6 now off the screen. Tell us.
O holy name, you are manifested in 2 forms. The Supreme Person described by the holy name, and 2, the sound vibration of the holy name. We know that the second form is even more merciful than the first, because although a person may commit many offenses to your first form, he will still plunge into an ocean of bliss by serving your second with his voice. Very good, Mataji.
So you see, this is basically glorifying the holy names of the Lord. Right? And saying that the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is such a powerful thing that I might think that, I come to the temple and I do deity worship, I make prasadam and all that. But even while I'm doing all those kinds of things, I can make mistakes, right? And when you make mistakes like that to Krishna, it's not that Krishna is very lenient. There are aparadha, seva aparadhas there, right? While you're doing service to Krishna. But another kind of service that you can do, another form of Krishna, which is his name, and there's no difference between Krishna's form and Krishna's name, and because it's transcendental in nature. In the material world, a name and the object are different, right? For example, if I look at the substance water, right? So there's a cup here, there's some water in it. So the substance water is there, and then the name water is there, right? So it can have many different names, like in Bengali, it's jal, right? In English, it's water. In Hindi, so many words, pani, neer, right? Ambu, all those are names, right? Of the object water. But here the two are different. And what we mean by saying the two are different is that if I'm thirsty, right? If I'm thirsty, in order to quench my thirst, I will need the substance water, right? I need the substance water just by, saying that, saying the word water, water, my thirst is not going to be quenched by that, right? So I just wanted to emphasize that over here is that, but the difference is there when it comes to Krishna, right? There's no difference between Krishna's name and Krishna's form itself. So whether you are, going in front of the deity and looking at the deity, or whether you're just saying Krishna, 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 it's just the same thing. So when you're saying Krishna, Hare Krishna, then Krishna actually comes in because it's a sound, right? So that sound and Krishna are not different. So where is the sound? It starts from your mouth, from your tongue, right? So that's why we say that Krishna dances on your tongue when you chant the holy names of the Lord, right? So that's the mahima of the holy name. And then we, of course, are focusing more on our mind. And what were the 4 qualities of a mind? What was the acronym for that? That describes the 4 things about the mind?
Sword.
Sword, right? So you won't forget it?
No.
All righty. So let's go and now look at 6.36. So let me bring
35.
35. Thank you. That is good. You're alert. And let's go here. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. I hope that doesn't make all of you go mute. Here we go. Let us see. Okay. So 6.35. Śrī-bhagavān uvāca asaṁśayaṁ mahā-bāho mano durnigrahaṁ calam abhyāsena tu kaunteya vairāgyeṇa ca gṛhyate. Śrī-bhagavān uvāca asaṁśayaṁ mahā-bāho mano durnigrahaṁ calam abhyāsena tu kaunteya vairāgyeṇa ca gṛhyate. Śrī-bhagavān uvāca asaṁśayaṁ mahā-bāho mano durnigraham calam abhyāsena tu kaunteya vairāgyeṇa ca gṛhyate. Now looking at the synonyms. Śrī-bhagavān uvāca. Śrī-bhagavān means the personality of Godhead. Uvāca said. Asaṁśayam, undoubtedly. There's no samshaya. The samshaya means doubt. So asaṁśayam means without doubts. Undoubtedly. Mahā-bāho, O mighty armed one. Manaḥ, the mind. Durnigraham, difficult to curb. Calam, flickering. Abhyāsena, by practice. Tu, but. Kaunteya, O son of Kuntī. Vairāgyeṇa, by detachment. Ca, also. Gṛhyate, can be so controlled. Translation. Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa said, O mighty armed son of Kuntī, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. But it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So going back to the words here, so which of these Sanskrit words is talking about the mind being restless?
Flickering, calam.
Calam, right? So calam means restless here. Okay. And sword, right? The R from the sword. So Lord Kṛṣṇa said, O mighty armed son of Kuntī, it's undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind, as expressed by Arjuna, is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the Supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn vairāgyeṇa. Vairāgyeṇa means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because of hearing about Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called pareshanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. It's just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Kṛṣṇa is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay, so what did you hear?
I really like Mataji that
What did you hear?
I heard this, that if you keep chanting the holy name, then automatically the vairāgyeṇa comes.
Okay.
And when vairāgyeṇa is there, then you will get Krishna. Because you will not have any attachment with the material things.
So in this chapter, in this paragraph, is Krishna talking about chanting the holy names?
No, Mataji, not
What is he talking
exactly chanting.
What is he talking about exactly?
Detachment.
No.
No.
Vairāgyeṇa means detachment from matter and engagement of mind in spirit.
No. I'm saying that you said that Krishna says that if we chant his names, then we will get vairāgyeṇa, right? But my question is that does he say that in this purport that we heard just now? Go back and look at the purport and see does he say that in the purpose like that? Or is he focusing on something else?
Hearing of Lord Krishna's transcendental activity also help you to.
When you say also, is there also there in the
No,
purport?
that is the main thing. Hearing
That
about
is the main
Krishna
thing.
is the main
Hearing, yes, no.
Yeah, so be very careful of using
Yes.
Yeah, it is not also.
It
This
is the
verse
only
is
thing.
focusing only on hearing.
Mm.
Only on hearing the names of the Lord, right? So let me just really quickly bring one verse. I'm just trying to find.
Vrindavali Mataji again cannot mute.
Is this
I don't
something to
know.
do with you
Yeah,
being
if you're
in the
not able to
temple?
mute yourself, if you're not able to mute yourself, just leave the call and join again. I think that might just help. I don't know. I haven't muted anybody.
Now I have voice.
Yeah, okay, good. Were you going to say something? Were you trying to say something to my question?
No, you already said it.
I said that. Okay.
Same thing.
So the focus here is on hearing, right? Yeah. And I was trying to bring something when I got distracted. Let me just see.
Shravanam.
Just trying to recall from my memory. Which verse is that one? Very interesting one. Done. Okay, yeah, that is what it is. Yeah. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen here and let's see. It is from the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, right? 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita focuses on the soul, super soul, Krishna, right? Body, like that. So here in verse 13.26, Anyatva evam ajanataha shutvan yebhya upasate tepi chati tarantyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Right? So he's talking about again, right? So again means they must have talked something about in something he must have said in the previous verse, right? So let's go back and look at the previous verse and see what was being talked about in the previous verse, right? Because if the word starts with, yeah, dhyaninatmani pashyanti. So he's saying some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, right? And which chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about meditation and finding the super soul?
Or 12.
Some perceive the
Which chapter? Listen to the
within
question.
themselves.
Which chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is talking about perceiving the super soul within themselves through meditation?
25.
There are not 25 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Which
What?
chapter talks about perceiving
No,
the
13,
super soul?
25.
Chapter
Which chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about
13
perceiving
chapter.
Is it chapter 6?
Chapter 6 for 500 points.
Thank
Here
you.
am I now. What is this going on?
Oh, Dhyana Yoga itself.
Oh, yes.
Yes, right? That's the chapter where the focus is on dhyana yoga, meditating, becoming yoga rula, reaching that
Oh,
stage when you
that
find
one you asked
Paramatma
me.
in your heart.
Okay,
Meditation
that's
is
what
all
you're
about
asking.
focusing and finding the super soul in
I
your
did
heart.
miss it.
Right. So the interesting thing here, and this is Krishna's strategic method of teaching whatever he wants to teach to Arjuna, right? So most of us who come from India, when we ask the question that what does Bhagavad Gita, what is Krishna trying to tell Bhagavad Gita, and what is Bhagavad Gita all about, right? And the answer, because most of us know the connection, Bhagavad Gita was spoken during Mahabharata, we know all that, right? So most of us know about that. So then our immediate answer will be that, okay, we know that in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, we see that Arjuna did not want to do his duty as a fighter. And so Bhagavad Gita is all about performing your duty. 90% of us give that answer, right? And so what does Bhagavad Gita teach you? It teaches you how to perform your duty. Yes, it does try to teach you how to perform your duty, but then what exactly is your duty? So what do you think is our duty?
Serving Krishna?
Yes, serving Krishna is our only duty, right? As human beings, athato brahma jigyasa.
Yes.
Now that you've got a human body, then you should engage in devotional service to the Lord, right? And try to find out. So, athato brahma jigyasa is one of the Vedic aphorisms, right? So now we have to understand that Krishna's main goal through Bhagavad Gita is to teach devotional service and to teach people that devotional service is the best thing, right? But his strategy of teaching is very different, right? It's not that he comes and starts and says, oh, devotional service is the best thing. If you do this, it's going to happen. You do this, that's going to happen. This is the no, he doesn't do that. He is using a technique of teaching Krishna, which is known as the yoga of impossibility. I just cooked up that word just now, right? So by teaching him how it is in this age, how it is impossible for us to do other kinds of yoga. So he begins and starts talking about Sankhya yoga in the beginning, right? Where you have to analyze everything. But halfway through the chapter, what he does do? He starts to flip towards the devotional service. And then Karma yoga comes third and fourth, and fourth is Jnana yoga. And then 5th is again karma yoga, action and Krishna consciousness, like the 6th, dhyan yoga. Now he's teaching all that, right? And after teaching and telling Krishna, what does he tell Arjuna? Okay, now you have to be celibate. You have to go to a sacred place. You have to go to a place where it's calm and quiet. You have to go and sit on deer skin. You have to find a soft cloth. You have to put it there. You have to go to a place which is neither too high nor too low, right? And then you focus on your nose. Oh, by the way, you have to sleep properly, eat properly. He goes on and on and on. And then, yeah, I have to, you have to consider your friends and enemies as the same and this and that, right? So after he tells him all that in 33 verses, what happens to Arjuna in the 34th verse? What does Arjuna say?
Okay.
Say that full sentence. What does he say?
Oh, I don't know the verse by heart.
But no essence. Just give me the essence of
Oh, yeah, that the mind is
sort.
yeah.
Sort is what? Stubborn.
Stubborn, obstinate, restless, and turbulent.
And turbulent, right? And who is saying that? This is being said by somebody whom Krishna is addressing in the very next verse as, what does Krishna address Arjuna as in 6.35? What does he say? How does he address Arjuna? What name is he using for Arjuna?
Oh, yeah. Mighty arm, mahā-bāho.
Mighty arm.
Mighty arm, right? So, and what is the mighty arm saying in the previous verse? The mighty arm is saying that Krishna, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for me to do that, right? And so this is known as, a way of teaching by which you first make them understand that it's very difficult to do any of the other things. Now we remember that this difficulty is being presented by somebody who is addressed by Krishna as mahā-bāho. Every one of us knows about the greatness of Arjuna. Last week we had talked about Arjuna's focus. Arjuna is not an ordinary man like us, right? Remember the story with Dronacharya and the bird and the eye of the bird that had to be pierced, right? How focused he was, right? Duryodhana saw everybody. But when they asked Arjuna, who are you seeing? When he was asked to shoot the eye of the bird, he said, I see the eyes. And then his spiritual master said, what else do you see? He said, I can't see anything else. That was Arjuna's focus, right? As a child. And then later on, he put that focus into use when he went for the Swayamvar of Draupadi, which was even more difficult, right? And what he had to do, he had to go and pierce an eye of a fish that was moving up there. And he didn't have to look up and aim. He had to look at the reflection of the fish in some oil below on a dish, right? And that oil was moving. So you can imagine, how much he had to be concentrated, not to be distracted by any of the things that are happening and just to focus on that. And he was able to, hit the target with his arrow. So that's the kind of concentration that Arjuna has, right? And a person with that kind of consciousness is coming and saying, I cannot do it. I find it's very difficult to do that. Yes, Varshana Matiji, yes to your question. So Arjuna, Krishna, by telling him all these things about it, has brought this thing out from Arjuna where he says that, it is so impossible to do yoga, right? So that is a win for Krishna because Krishna has achieved his goal. He wants to veer Arjuna towards bhakti, right? And teach him, what exactly bhakti means. Bhakti doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking a lamp and you're sitting in front of the deity and that's all that you're doing. Arjuna is a Kshatriya. His deed is to fight. And then who should he fight, who he should not fight, who he should kill and who he should not kill is something that he has to do according to Krishna. Whoever Krishna wants, whoever God wants. So Krishna is going to do his duty with respect to the Lord. Whatever the Lord wants, he's going to do that duty. That is bhakti. That is true bhakti, right? So, Krishna just lures him, towards that and says, now, in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that we have read recently, right? Did we read that recently? Where did we read 8th chapter recently? Does anybody remember?
Dad.
Yeah. Say that again.
On Chad.
For Chad, right? So which one are we doing now?
I haven't started.
Sorry?
I didn't start, so I don't.
You didn't start yet, but it is 9, right?
I know, but I.
Right. So here in this verse, let me bring that here. I hope, yeah. Let me share. Is somebody else also saying that they are unable to mute? Because I see some chat here. Okay. It is in 8.14 that Krishna says, Ananya chetaha satatam yomam smarati nityasaha tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. So what does he say about that? For one who always remembers me without deviation, I'm easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service, right? And then how do you get into that? How do people get into devotional service? There are various ways in which people can get. And one verse that I had brought, and I didn't touch upon that verse, where I just started in the beginning. Let's go back to that verse again. And it says, Dhyanena atmani paschyanti kechit atmana atmana anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare. So some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others to the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires, right? All these things we have already talked about. Now let's look at the next verse, which was 26. Anye tva evam ajananta shrutvan yebha upasate tepi cha titaranteva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of the tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So what is the focus in this particular verse? Where is the focus? The reading focus, where should we be focusing on?
On hearing.
On hearing, right? So that's the main thing, that you should focus on hearing the names of the Lord. Okay. So now Krishna in this particular verse, number 1, right? So he has met his objective, that, he's got Arjuna to confess and say that it's very difficult to do Dhyana yoga, right? And then also there's a very interesting thing in which Krishna is actually Krishna is actually, let me just stop here. I need to see you guys. Yeah. In which Krishna is teaching Arjuna, right? So what did Arjuna say about yoga? He said it is very difficult to control the mind, right? And so Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He could have just said that
you are muted.
Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. He could have said that, that I don't agree that it's very difficult to control the mind. I can control it, but he's Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So this is something that we need to also keep in mind, is that Krishna's response. So what does Krishna say in this verse? Can somebody summarize from the beginning? What does Krishna say in this verse to Arjuna?
35, Mataji?
35. Just summarize.
Krishna agrees that it is undoubtedly very hard to control the mind, but with practice, you can try and do it, and you observe some rules and regulations. And there are 9 ways of doing it, but the most important is hearing.
Yes, and the most important is hearing is something that Prabhupada is saying in the purport, right? But in the verse, in the verse, all that Krishna is saying is abhyāsena, vairāgyeṇa, right?
Practice and detachment.
And suitable detachment, right? So one of the things to keep this in mind is that Krishna is empathizing with Arjuna first, right? He agrees. And this is something very, very important that we also have to keep in our mind when we are preaching, right? When we are preaching, is that we just don't go and tell people this and that, this is wrong, that is right, right? We should put ourselves in their shoes first, right? Put ourselves in their shoes first and try to now understand why a person is not able to chant, right? Why a person is not able to memorize, why a person this and that cannot come to the temple. So when you put yourself in their shoes, then you are empathizing with them. So Krishna first says, right? Asaṁśayaṁ mahā-bāho, mana chanchalam durnigrahaṁ, right? Calam. Mana durnigrahaṁ, calam. So he says, yeah, there is no doubt. So immediate empathy. Right? So when you empathize with somebody, you understand that pain and you are expressing that in words and saying, yes, I know that, then that other person will be more willing to listen to you. Okay? So that should be our mood all the time when we are preaching also, especially when we learn from Krishna. Krishna is doing this, right? Having said that, sometimes you have to be strong. And you have to speak very strong words, right? To bring somebody back. Like most of us have got kids, right? So sometimes we notice that a kid is walking on a table, something high, right? And the kid is walking on the table and they're about to fall down, right? So what do we do at that time when we see the child is about to fall down? Do we shout at them or do we just say, oh, my dear, you're going to fall now? What do we do? Be honest in your answer. What would you do if you see a child doing that, your child?
Shouting.
You will shout, right? Right? Because and is it that you are shouting because, why are you shouting?
Because you're scared he'll fall down.
Right. So, by shouting, you're trying to grab their instant attention towards yourself, right? So that then they will listen to you and then you will say the further things on them, right? So sometimes you have to do that when you have a student. You have to be strong with them and sharp with them. And that's what Krishna did to Arjuna back in chapter number 2. Right? What does Krishna say in chapter number 2 to Arjuna? We are learning the verses, right? From chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita on Sunday. We haven't come to that verse though. Tam tata kripya vishnam ashnupurna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvāca madhusudana. Gutasva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anarajustam asvargayam akirtikaram Arjuna. Right? Till this much we have memorized, right? On Sunday? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
So, but then, so what he's just saying is that, kutashva kashmalamidam, from where is all this dirt has come to you, right? But then he's still not harsh. He's just saying that, from where has this dirt come into you? This is not, it doesn't become a person who is an Aryan and who knows the value of life, right? But then right after that, the verse right after that, Krishna is brutal. Brutal. He says, Klabhyam masma gama partha na te tat upapadyate shudram hirdaya dal balyam taktutishta parantapa. Right? Klabhyam. Klabhyam means impotence. So you can imagine calling a Kshatriya as impotent. Right? Any normal man doesn't, take it easily. So Kshatriya, impotent. Right? And why is he saying that? Because he's trying to shake Arjuna out of his lethargy that has come because he's so concerned about everything in the world and the next generations and the previous generations and so on and so forth. So Krishna uses harsh words. So it's not that Krishna doesn't use hard words, but at the appropriate time, again, like us shouting at a child who's about to fall down from the bed. Similarly, Krishna is shaking Arjuna out of that lethargy where he says, Klabhyam masma gama partha na te tatpati, papadyate shudram hirdaya dalvarmyam. Hirdaya dalyam, weakness of the heart, right? I mean, again, using the word weak with Arjuna doesn't make any sense, right? But Arjuna himself had said that, in the previous first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that Gandivam samsrate hasta taktyacha paridhahyate. This Gandiv is slipping from my hand. Okay, Mr. Mahā-bāho, you're supposed to be strong. You should be able to hold the Gandiv. Why is it slipping like that, right? But here, six chapters later, Krishna is being, empathetic with Arjuna. And he says that, yes, I understand, but it is possible. And how is it possible? How is it possible? Through two things. What are the two things?
Detachment and practice.
Practice and how does it qualify practice? Can you see how Prabhupada translates that? How does Prabhupada translate that? So anybody close to the book?
Yes, ma'am.
I think Prabhupada says that in this day and age, it's very hard to do all the things that the things of the strict rules and regulations. But
No, not Prabhupada. Just look and see what is said in the translation about practice. How is practice qualified or described in the
Abhyāsena.
translation section? It is possible by
time
Abhyas.
process.
Yeah.
translation. Read the translation, not the purport.
Possible by suitable practice and
Suitable
detachment.
practice and
Yeah,
detachment.
which type of practice?
आपको नहीं बुलाया.
Suitable practice.
Yeah, suitable practice.
Suitable practice. That is very, very important. That's the essence of these words.
केवल
Suitable practice.
Yeah.
So how will we find out what is suitable practice? How will we know what is suitable practice? What do you think is suitable practice, right? Right? So practice has to be suitable to the person who is doing it. So what is applicable to me might not be applicable to you. What was applicable to somebody in Satyuga is not going to be applicable to somebody in Kali Yuga. Right? Because in Kali Yuga, people are, short-lived, quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Right? So these are the qualities of people in Satyuga. So how can the person in Satyuga sit down and meditate where you're always disturbed? Right? Or you're being misguided. People we don't even know what's the right way of meditating. People are not telling us the right thing. So many people are saying, where do I go? Who do I realize? Who do I respect? Right? So like that. So it's suitable practice. That's very, very important that you have to do a suitable practice of doing that, right?
Can you explain suitable practice a little more in detail, a little?
Suitable practice? Yeah. So what I meant, Varshana Mataji, was that the practice has to be suitable according to the time and the place and the circumstance. Okay? So time means that something that was applicable and suitable to everybody in Satyuga might not apply in Kali Yuga. For example, in Satyuga, people were meditating and trying to find God, right? But here in Kali Yuga, it is impossible to meditate properly, right? Similarly, the way one person does a devotional service to the Lord might not be the same for the second person. For example, if a lady has got a small child, right? How much she does some of the rituals of devotional service versus a person who has got more free time in their hands, they're different. So the rules for them are going to be different, right? Essential, main, basic rules will still remain the same, chanting the holy names, following 4 regulative principles, and so on and so forth. But then it'll vary from one person to another person, like that. Okay? So here, that is known as a suitable practice, right? And then what he's saying, so suitable practice, and what was the other thing that they were saying?
Detachment.
Yeah, you should have detachment, right? So what we have to remember over here is that he's saying you do some practice, and then, so there's a prescription, right? And then detachment. Detachment is you don't do certain things, right? So there's a prescription and then there's a proscription. For example, if somebody, for example, last week, right, my right leg was hurting very badly. I was not even able to walk. I was holding the wall and I was moving from one place to another. I maybe pulled a muscle or something like that, right? So when I was talking to my doctor, so the doctor gave me prescription, right? So prescription was that you take this medicine, you put, hot water fermentations, cold water fermentations, and then, stretch your leg a little bit, right? But then that's a prescription. Proscription was stop going out on long walks. Do not do strenuous exercises like that, right? So there is a do and then there is a don't. Do not do it. Okay. So now, so when you are doing some sort of a practice, when you are doing something, that is your abhyasa, right? And then when you are, for example, in our context, right? In our context, it's not that we have fractured legs and we have to think about that. We have a more serious problem than that. Our mind goes everywhere, right? So what is the practice that we will do? When we sit down to chant the holy names of the Lord, the mind is going to go away, right? And we are going to bring it back. Then it's again going to go away. And we're going to again bring it back. It's again going to go away. We're going to again bring it back. So that is the practice. That is the abhyasa that you will be doing, right? Then he also said vairāgyeṇa. So what is vairāgyeṇa?
Detachment.
Detachment.
Please feel that. Okay. So give me an example of, detachment in life. Prabhupada gives a very graphic example of detachment. He says, when you go to the toilet and pass stool, you don't care about it. Do you? Where it goes, what is it doing now? I flushed it down. Which pipe is it in now? Did it reach? No. He says that's the extremes of the detachment. Okay. So vairāgya, right? What is tyag?
Sacrifice.
So how do we compare the two?
Tyag is, Mataji, when you like something and you leave it and do that. Like Bharat Maharaj left his house when, palace, children, wife, and went for meditation. That is tyag, I feel.
And what is vairāgya?
That is also some point, Mataji, is some kind of tyag. Because there also detached means when you like something, or maybe it's a people you like, so you are making distance, or so that is also one kind of tyag, what I have understood.
Most liking things to leaving most liking.
Leaving the one you like the most. Yeah. So what Varshana Mataji was saying was, she didn't give the right and the example, but a sense that she said was correct. So when you're tyag mein, what you're doing is you still like that thing. You are passionate about that thing, right? And then you're saying, I'm going to give it up. For example, the Chaturmasha is coming and it's a month of Kartik. So I'm going to give up sugar. I'm going to give up rasgullas. It doesn't mean that I don't like rasgullas. I'm actually thinking about it all the time.
I gave up sugar last Kartik, Mataji.
There you go, right? So that is tyag. It's not that you hate it, you like it. But you're giving it up. Okay, that is tyag. Vairāgya is, it doesn't matter if you get sugar or you don't get sugar. It doesn't matter. They will give you sugar, you will eat it. You don't get sugar, you're fine either ways. Right? But that's not the case. In Kartik, it's like, oh, you know what? I gave up sugar. Now every place I go, they put sugar in everything. Right? I remember one person came and said during Kartik, I had brought some good, like food. It was a sweet, something sweet, some halwa or something I brought. And that person came and asked me that, does it have white sugar or does it have brown sugar? So I
How
said,
does it make
it's
a
brown
difference?
sugar. It's brown sugar. So then that person said, oh, thank God, because I gave up white sugar for Kartik. So you see that attachment. I'm not belittling that person because they gave up something they were trying to practice, right? it was a tyag on their part that they gave up white sugar, which means they were not eating so many things, right? But the love for sugar was still there, right? And they were happy that this had brown sugar, so that sweet taste is all still going to be there, like that, right?
So Mataji, which is the higher state? Like the tyag or the vairāgyeṇa?
No, detachment is,
yes.
Yeah, because for vairāgya, you have gone above the shackles of the material energy, mahā-bāho prakriti, right? Devihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. All these things are done by the Maya. Okay. So when Krishna is saying that by suitable practice and through a detachment, you're going to get that, right? So then when he's saying that detachment, right? So what does he want us to be detached from? What exactly is the detachment he is looking for? Right? So I will take you to Srimad Bhagavatam. And let's look at what I have in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's from the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, which is second canto, 9th verse. And I think the verse should be 34 or 35 or 36, something like that.
33 to 35.
Okay, so now let me give you a little bit of a background about this Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. So when Brahma is born, okay, so who is Brahma? Brahma does what?
Creator.
He's the creator, right? So if Brahma is the creator, when Brahma is born, what else will he see?
Nothing.
Nothing, right? So Brahma creates this material element, this Brahman, right? So he sees nothing. So that's exactly what happens to Brahma, is that when he's born, he sees nothing around him. And so he's where does Brahma reside? On the top of the lotus.
Lotus.
And so he doesn't see anything there in this lotus. So where else can he go? He can't go up because his planet is the highest planet. So he starts to come down, right? So he walks through that entire stem. Now imagine, okay, Garbhodakshay Vishnu lying on the causal ocean. Not causal, so lying on the Garbhodak ocean, right? So he's lying on the Garbhodak ocean, and from his navel, this lotus stem is there, and on the top of the lotus stem, there's a lotus flower where Brahma is sitting, right? So now Brahma is the firstborn. At that time, nobody is there. So he's sitting on his lotus, and then what he does, the only thing that he can do is
he came all the way down.
Right? He walks all the way down. And what does he see there as he walks all the way down? Remember, he's attached to the navel of Vishnu. So he walks all the way down. What does he see? He doesn't see anything. Right? Because he is in the stem, and the stem is attached to the navel of Vishnu. So it's not that he walks all the way there down and he sees the Garbhodak ocean and he sees Vishnu. He sees nothing. Why? Because he does not have the qualification yet to be able to see Vishnu. And then he starts to walk back up. It takes 100 of Brahma's years to do that. And as he's walking back and reaching his abode, what are the two letters that he hears?
Tapa.
Ta and pa. Standing for you do some tapasya, right? And then after he does his tapasya, then Lord Kṛṣṇa comes, because now by doing all these kinds of services or the tapasya, he now becomes entitled and qualified to see God. And then Krishna comes, and actually Krishna comes and shakes his hands and says Bhadram Te, right? It's there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So then we know, then Brahma wants to know, right? Brahma wants to know how to create this universe. And then Brahma does create the universe. Brahma does learn from Krishna. And all that Krishna does is that he recites 4 shlokas to him, right? And that is the impact and the intelligence of Brahma, that he is able to understand the whole process of creation through these 4 verses. I'm not able to still understand from this, how do I create? But we'll just pick up one verse which is relevant to us. Yeah, just give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I'm just going to take one of those 4 Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, one of those shlokas today. Okay. So let's see. It was 2:9:36, I think. Yeah. Okay. So let's go and look at 2.39.2.9.36 here. Etavad eva jigyasam tattva jigyasunaatmanaha anvaya vyatirekabhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. So what it means? A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. So that's my question for you, that are you searching for the supreme absolute truth? Yes or yes? Are you searching or not searching?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, yeah. The why is such a Marial yes coming? It should be a bold and loud yes, right? So you are searching. So it says a person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it. Up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. So number 1, he's saying in all circumstances. Now, what does it mean to know and to search for Krishna in all circumstances? What does that mean?
Mataji, sorry for the interruption. Shukamal Radhi Mataji is now muted.
Okay, I'll ask her to unmute. So going back to my question here, that what does it mean to
Wherever
search
we
for him
are,
in all circumstances?
wherever we are, but whatever place,
We are
whether
doing it.
sleep or awake, and so
Okay.
we,
Okay, good. Can you give me an example for a person who thought about Krishna in all circumstances? No matter what was being done.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, correct, right? Correct. So in all circumstances, in all space and time, what does that mean?
that means, like Prahlad Maharaj, when he was thrown in the
Make
ditch,
pit.
even then he was thinking of Krishna.
Yes.
When-
So that is more
when
with the
his
circumstance,
father-
right? In the that was a circumstance, right? In all space and time, what does that mean? What do you think that means?
Whatever
Day and
space,
night,
wherever
day and
you
night,
are
right?
in at any time.
Right, wherever you are, which basically means that if you have gone on a vacation to Hawaii, you will not say that this is a different space. Here we don't think about Krishna, no. You still think about Krishna, you'll still stand your 16 rounds, right? All space and all times. Today is my birthday, so I won't think about Lord today. I'm unhappy, so I won't, no. Right? All times. Today I'm young, today I'm old, no. All the time you're going to think about, search for Krishna. Okay. Both directly.
Can we give the example of Parikshit Maharaj? The last 7 days, he was only thinking, time and circumstance was such, and he was only thinking about Krishna.
Exactly.
At
Exactly.
that moment,
Yeah.
he wanted
Yeah.
Krishna.
So he was searching for Krishna. Good citation. Yeah. And both directly and indirectly. So what does that mean? Both directly and indirectly. What do you think is the meaning of that?
Whether you are in front of the Lord or not in front of the Lord, directly.
That is what we would think, right? Both directly and indirectly is whether you are in front of the Lord or whether you're not in the front of the Lord. Basically, here what he means is that directly, searching God directly is doing your Navadha Bhakti, 9 acts of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, right? Smaranam, Padasevanam, right? Dasyam, Sakyam, all that, right? 9 processes of devotion. It's direct. It's direct. Here's Krishna, is the deity. Between you and I'm doing your service. You are the served. Period. Directly. Now, to search for Krishna indirectly, right? To search for Krishna indirectly means that you are going to give up things which are not conducive for you to search for Krishna. Right? So that's what Srila Prabhupada has given us. He has given us both the things, directly and indirectly. Right? Directly is
He's in every atom.
right? And indirectly is?
He's in every atom available. I mean, can think of Krishna is there in
No.
every atom,
What is
and
directly and indirectly? Can somebody
though
tell
we
me
can't
that?
see.
Say that again.
Directly is by just doing all the 9 processes of devotional
Process.
service. That is directly
And
to
what
the
is
Lord.
indirectly?
Indirectly is even when you're going about your daily activities and you're always thinking of the Lord.
No. That is in all states and all time and all circumstances, right?
Oh,
Indirectly means that you will give up activities that are
that are
not
not conducive.
conducive. That is indirectly. Okay.
Oh,
Now going back again to what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So has he given us both directly and indirectly? Has he told us how to do it directly and indirectly?
yeah.
Yes.
And tell me, yes, the answer is correct, but please elaborate.
So the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Sahasranam is the direct one that he gave
Direct
us
one.
that we should do.
And
And
what is the
indirect is like we should always offer prasad, bhoga before eating it. And then we should not associate with non-devotees.
Give me something more concrete he has given us by
It's
way
to
of
defile.
indirectly, and that is giving up things that do not help you in Krishna consciousness. I will give you a hint. It starts with the letter F.
It's the 4 regulative principles.
Correct. 4 regulative principles for 500 points. That's the indirect way, right? You're searching for Krishna, but indirectly. Why are you doing 4 regulative principles? Because you want to follow Krishna. And these activities, right? Intoxication, gambling, meat eating, they're all going to take you away from your search for Krishna, right? So indirectly is how you go and search for Krishna, right? So that is why here they are saying, Krishna is saying, abhyāsena tu kaunteya vairāgyeṇa, right? Gṛhyate. So through vairāgya also, you will be able to control your mind, right? So mind is like, the 2 things that you need to do with your mind. And we have heard of stories in Srimad Bhagavatam of how mind impacts people, right? So tell me, give me some examples of when you heard stories from Bhagavatam that had to do with the mind. Somebody's mind that got here and there.
Vishwamitra.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Vishwamitra.
Vishwamitra. Yeah, that's correct. But Vishwamitra's story is not in Bhagavatam. Yeah. But that's correct. It's a popular story. In Bhagavatam, you hear about people whose minds, Prahlad is one. Yes. Ajamil. Yes. Who else? Give me an example of somebody whose mind was agitated and then he later on was able to control his mind.
Saurabhi Muni.
Saurabhi Muni, yes. Yeah. Towards the fag end of his life, then he was able to control his mind again. Yeah. How about a little boy?
Dhruva.
Dhruva Maharaj.
Right?
Dhruva
His mind was
Maharaj.
very agitated and then he goes and then he, right? So one of the things that we have to notice and keep in mind is that there are very significant differences, very, very significant differences between the working of the body and the working of the mind, right? So, for example, we are eating something, okay? So whatever food that you eat, the food usually goes into your body only, right? And from how does your food go into your body only? Usually the food goes through the mouth, right? So when you are feeding the body is fed through only one aperture, right? That is the mouth. However, how is the mind fed? The mind is fed from all the senses. Do you agree? The mind is things, all the senses, right? Okay. Then, so that is how the body works. The penetrability, how much penetration is there? Okay, penetration into the body is only through one aperture, that is the mouth. The food goes through that, right? You cannot put food in somebody's ears and expect them to, be fed. Then the second thing is the frequency. How often does the body take food?
So many times. We have no control.
How many times?
Uncontrollable.
No, food, khana, chapati, rice,
Yeah.
sambar.
3
Yeah.
times, 3 or 2.
3, 2, maximum
Actually,
4.
2 times.
Like
2
that,
times
right?
they should take.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how often does the mind take the stimulus?
Quite often.
Like
Right?
from the food, yeah.
No, not from the food. Mind takes the stimulus, we said, from all the senses.
All of it, yeah.
All the senses. So the mind takes the stimulus constantly, many, many more times like that. Right? Then also the important thing is the invisibility. Right? One was penetrability, one was frequency, and the third one is invisibility. Invisibility basically means that when you're eating the food, right? When you're eating something, it's very much, you know it, it's happening. It goes into your mouth, you get a particular taste, then it goes into your stomach starts to feel full, so on and so forth, right? But with the mind and the stimulus and all that the mind is eating, you don't even know it. You don't even get to know it. Somebody sometime is in subconscious mind, what the mind is actually registering. And that is why we very strongly recommend people not to sing songs which are copying the tunes of Bollywood music. Right? So people will come and create some nice shloka, and or they will just modify the words of a Bollywood romantic song and then address it to Krishna. And so the music is there, the style is the same, it's just the same, just a substitute the words, right? And the reason we tell you is that although your mind is getting the stimulus through the ear and capturing this thing in your mind, right? And by the way, the mind also had the stimulus earlier, maybe 20 years ago or 10 years ago, when you heard the Bollywood music, right? So you heard the Bollywood music and that song is in your head, and now they have Krishna is that thing and it's in your head, right? Guess what? Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kaliram. At the time of our death, we do not know what music is going to come to us, right? And who we are going to sing. So it's better that we listen to the songs of our acharyas, right? So it's very, very important to make sure that there are two things, right? Arjuna is not very sure about how he can focus his mind, right? The two things that he needs to think about is that what does he feed? And it's not just Arjuna, it's us as well. What do we feed our mind? What are you feeding to your mind? If the whole day you're listening to Bollywood music, the whole day you're listening to some political thing, what is the mind registering? That. Right? So instead of that, you should listen to Krishna Katha. And that's why Prabhupada in the Purport is saying that he emphasized so much on listening. Shunvatam swa katha Krishna, punya sramana kirtana, hide anthasto hiya bhadrani vidhunoti srutsatam. He says that, you just listen to Krishna Katha, the dirt in your heart is going to go away. Right? And the second one is that you fence the mind. It's very, very important to fence the mind and to say that, I do not do this. I do not go to these kinds of websites, right? So feeding is abhyāsena and fencing is vairāgyeṇa. You fence your mind by saying, I won't do this, I won't do this. My 4 regulative principles, I won't gamble, I won't do this. Why? Because you are protecting your mind and making it go towards the ultimate focus that it needs to have, and that is to focus on Krishna. Okay, so I'll stop over here and wait for questions or reflections or comments or anything here. We are
Shraddha
way
Mataji, what
past.
is the 3 things that you said? Penetrating, invisibility, and the third one?
Who remembers that?
I remember 2. Penetrating.
Frequency.
Ah.
Frequency. how often, right? You eat food 4 times. Body works this way, but the mind is very strong, right?
Penetrating,
All the time.
penetrating.
Huh?
Penetrating, frequency, and invisibility.
Invisibility.
Okay.
Yeah. Right? Okay. So tell me a few things that you heard today.
Yeah, I just want to share something about when you said about Arjun in the Matsya Veg thing. I'd got a WhatsApp in it's in Gujarati, but I'll just tell the gist of it. That the day before, Krishna is telling Arjun that listen carefully, step up on the stage with care. Then he's saying, put your feet together and focus. And then keep your eyes on the fish, eye of the fish. So then after listening to all this, Arjun is getting impatient and he's saying, I only have to do everything, then what will you do, Krishna? So then Krishna is giving such a beautiful answer that what you cannot do, I will do. And then he said that what is there that I cannot do that you will have to do for me? So he said, I will keep the water still.
Somebody cannot unmute.
So then the lesson from this story they are saying is that we have to do our karma, and whatever God does, that you should know that is beyond your capacity. That's what
Right.
Krishna does.
Right. And
Yeah.
yes. And what is that one to say where it says that you just do your duty? What's that verse?
Oh, karmani vadikaras.
Anibadhikaresthi.
But in Gujarati, they put it so beautifully in the language. So I was like, yeah, I have to share this.
Mataji, can you tell one more time for the transparency you just mentioned? One is frequency.
One was the frequency.
Another is the invisibility.
Yeah.
And penetrating.
Penetrability.
Oh,
Yeah,
Penetrability was from where can you get food? So for the body, the food only gets from the mouth. Right? And then but for the mind gets its food from all the senses.
All the senses.
Right? It's getting all that information there for you.
Thank you, Mataji.
For frequency, what is that from Mataji?
It's how many times you eat.
Okay, and for invisibility?
Penetrability is that, how can food enter into the body? Only through the mouth.
When?
Right? But how can food enter into the mind? From all the senses.
So that's invisibility.
No, that's penetrability.
Penetrability,
right?
Yeah.
Penetrability.
Yeah.
And the frequency is how often do you eat food for the body? 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. That's all, right? But how often does the mind eat food? All the time that you are, your senses
That is
in right? So, and then the invisibility was that when you're eating the food, when the body is eating the food, then you have very clear indications. You can see that, here I put the rasgulla in my mouth. Now it's gone through my throat. Now I can see my stomach being full, right? I can feel. So all that is, no, it's not invisible to you. You can see it happening. But when your mind is capturing information from the whole environment, you might not even know what all things the mind has recorded already. And it will come back and it will flash it at a later stage in front of us. So, penetrability, frequency, and invisibility. And we said, in order for us to focus our mind, what we have to do? We have to feed it and we have to fence it. Why do we have to fence it? Because you see what is happening. All the time, stimulus is coming from the environment for me. Things are being recorded in that, right? And from various places on the mind. So it's better that we fence it. And this fencing is coming from the vairāgyeṇa. I will not do this. I will not do this. I will not do this, right? And the mind is so nasty that the mind will replay. Do you know what is the meaning of replay? it'll keep on planting the same thoughts again and again in front of you. Keep on placing the same thoughts again and again in front of you. Some pictures, some movie scene you saw, right? It's not a good scene, but you're sitting somewhere and suddenly the
Is
mind
that
will
kind of
bring
Maya,
those-
Mataji?
Say that again?
Is it kind of a Maya?
What is kind of mind?
Maya does like that,
Yeah,
you want
Maya
to do
does.
something,
It's
but
all
it
Maya.
comes.
Yes. Yeah. This is Maya, but the same thing, if the mind can replay, if the mind can replay not good thoughts to you, then the good thing for you to notice is that the mind has got the capability to replay, right? So it has got the capability to replay. Just focus on that. The mind has got the capability to replay. Now, the question here is that what is the mind replaying? Is it replaying all nonsense? Or is it replaying Krishna Katha? Because you can replay Krishna Katha also, right? You can just come to the temple, listen to nice Katha from somebody, and the next day at lunchtime, you could just think at all the nice points that they said, right? That's also replaying it, right? So the mind can play anything, replay anything, like bring back things, right? Replay means that, right? It was played once and you play it again. Replay. The mind can bring back those thoughts and present them, but the intelligence has got the strength to discriminate and say, okay, I'm not going to play along with you. You can play. You can replay. I'm not playing with you, right? Vairāgya. Abhyāsena cha vairāgyeṇa. So vairāgya is this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this, right? I'm not attached to certain things. If I get chapati, that's fine. If I don't get chapati, that's also fine, like that.
Thank you, Mataji. I need to leave.
Welcome. Take care. It's way past your bedtime.
Hare Krishna.
Not my bedtime. Hare Krishna.
10:30, close to 10:30 for us.
Huh?
Close to 10:30 for us.
Good. You still have an hour and a half to wake up, right? You don't sleep.
Oh, yeah. I can listen to Katha till 12 o'clock midnight.
Right, good. Okay, so I'll take your leave.
Thank
today.
you very much, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for
Thank you
this,
so much, Shraddha Mataji.
especially this point, Mataji, that fencing
Yeah,
your
take
mind.
care of yourself, Varshana Mataji. Hari
Yes,
Bol.
Mataji.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha
Sindhubhye
patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Namaste.
Gaur Premanande. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
See you on
Thank you
Sunday.